I last spoke on the transition into another career path. If you haven't seen it, watch the last video. But during this time, I'm just trying to do the best that I can to provide for my family and still take care of everyone else before taking care of myself in a certain way you could put it. About January to April of that year, this is 2021, things were just still not right. A lot of tension, a lot of um, dissatisfaction, I guess, on both parts, me and my spouse. But for the most part, what I was feeling is no matter what I did, I couldn't do anything right. Everything was always my fault, and I needed to always go work on myself. It's like, okay. Well, eventually, since we had some issues in the past, not just since we had, you should always have open access to your partner's accounts. But because there are some issues in the past, we've got open accounts, and I could see in my kid's mom and her account, email that is, because she used my computer for it, her sister pretending to be not only an attorney but also pretending to not know her, and she was working for the SBA, SBA.gov, dealing with loans, PPP loans, but emailing her sister, calling her Mrs. Tynes, and showing her how she can unlawfully obtain a home, like a house, without the signature of her husband, me. Why do I mention this? Because it's important to highlight the dynamics of this so-called family, which is like, or was like, a cult. And that wasn't just my word. That was when I brought it to a counselor, very seasoned older lady goes, and I didn't tell her anything other than just how they behave. She goes, "This sounds like a cult." Like, yeah, hindsight 2020, of course. Nonetheless, her sister was definitely the black sheep of the family, liked to participate in Wicca, witchcraft. You could call it polygamy, but just a lifestyle that didn't honor marriage. It wasn't even healthy for her. She loved drugs and had issues with dependence. And instead of getting help for it, she found people that told her that no, drugs are the better way and people just don't understand you. Nonetheless, we've got this individual that lies about being a lawyer for 4 to 5 years. About 2 years into it, we're like, something's not right. I checked with the Florida bar. It's like, hey, at any point in time, has this person been associated with Florida bar as paralegal, as a lawyer, as blah, blah, blah? Like, nope, this person has nothing to do with us. So the years later, this lady is still coming to family events, talking about the cases that she's working on and all of this and that and being a lawyer. And her mom knows the truth. She's not a lawyer. Her dad knows. Her sister knows. I know. And her husband, I say husband because they're not the traditional husband-wife team. Her husband knows the truth. And I'm like, this is sick. And if like somebody needs to do something and say something. And I waited all them years and I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to have to be the person to do something and say something. Not only is she still being, that's an unhealthy way of being. Not only is she still pretending to be something she's not, she's now taking it to a government level. You put the government email address behind your name while doing this. Like, hey, here's what I found from this person. I'm not sure who else she's giving legal advice to, but she's not a lawyer. It has nothing to do with her position. I don't know why she's doing it. Oh, that just made everybody so mad. It was like, why would you do that? Oh, we all had to go through the fallout of that. And like, I don't care. She's done something that's unlawful, incorrect, and you're now trying to break up a family and teach or tell your sister without any true law degree how to get a home without my signature. Okay. So one of the biggest things God was saying that whole time was the Lord will fight for you and you should hold your peace. Just let God fight your battles, not in a passive way, but as long as you're pressing forward to what he's called you to do, he'll take care of the rest. So 2021, kids' mom, oh, I just want things to be better, or not better, easier. And I think it'll be better if I just take the kids and go with my parents. Like, what are you doing? All right, let me bear with her. Maybe because I actually listened to the folks that have gone before us, been there, done that. Hey, this is what happened in my marriage. This is what happened. Maybe we're going through a season and a patch where we'll have to reconcile and work some stuff out, work on ourselves, and then come back together. And that was never her plan or her thoughts. During the time, and I have to go back and do a little flashback of 2020, there was an issue where I saw my kid's mom snap and turn into a different person. She was pale, catatonic, staring out the window. And I'm thinking, oh, you're in reflection. You know, there's a lot going on right now. Kids getting treated for leukemia, and COVID happened. Even her mom and dad was like, she looks not like herself. She looks like a ghost. She was literally pale and just catatonic. Then she snapped. It was June the 9th, my son's birthday. She snapped on my sister and my mother, who she invited down there with us. It was like, you don't wish my son happy birthday. I wish him happy birthday. I'm like, wait, what? And she, like, for lack of a better word, it was crazy. Her mom also wished my son or our son happy birthday, but she only went after my mother and my sister. It's like, this is weird. And then all this other stuff blew up. And she's like, well, my sister says, I heard them talking about you and they're planning something and trying to set you up. I'm like, okay, conspiracy theory, lady, whatever. And even if they do try to do something, the Lord will fight for me. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. That's why I had to do a little flashback there. So now we're in 2021. I find out that she's trying to buy a home by herself. I'm also talking to her parents like, what's wrong with y'all? Like, you really think, because you think that I would not have anything to do with the purchase of a home, and I would allow you, her father, to just go and do all the work for me. So I'm trying to appeal to them reasonably. But once again, when you're dealing with people who are sick and have a reprobate and debased mind, you could blame it on how they were raised, and we can have all this sympathy and empathy all you want. But at the end of the day, nobody has sympathy for Hitler. Nobody has sympathy for Stalin. We like to pick and choose who we make our villains and who we sympathize with. When we look at the actions and the facts, sick is sick, wrong is wrong, evil's evil. So you got two parent in-laws trying to help this daughter get a home or a house unlawfully without my signature and my name on it. During this time, I'm just paycheck to paycheck, trying to make it work, not trying to be a burden on my family. And eventually in July, she comes in and she starts moving everything out of the apartment. Our lease is up and I got to figure out how to get somewhere on my own. No help for me. I've contributed to the family all of these years, put everything on my back, even restrain myself from working so that I could take care of our daughter while their mom worked, because I thought it would just work better that way. She was having a hard time in the hospital anyway. She has a relatively new job at the time. Say, hey, you got the potential for a higher payout. I'm self-employed. COVID shut me down. I'll take care of the kiddo. Anyway, July 2021 starts to move out, and I had to figure it out. I had just enough, and it was by the grace of God. I'm calling like, hey, any opening, no opening. And then one call back from a place that was like, you know what? We might have one going coming up pretty soon. We're going to put you back on the waiting list and put you back up to the top if this person doesn't answer, it doesn't move. It's like, cool. So it opened up, and that place became a really big blessing. Now, I'm trying to state it with the mindset of having joy in the morning. Like there's awful stuff happening, but there's joy, little moments of joy. Like, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Here's a place for me to stay. Like, here's a place that became, and I'll tell you about it later, became a really, really big blessing and a place of peace for me and my kiddos. I tried to reconcile with my kid's mom for about 7 months. And I wanted to make sure that I did everything in my power possible to reconcile, to heal, so that when that day came, if she did not choose to reconcile, I could look myself in the face, I could look my kids in the face, and I could stand before God and say, I did everything that I could. Worked on myself, tried to find new ways of understanding this person who's in front of me that doesn't resemble much of the person that I knew or even married. This is a very dark and different person now. And the switch really started to happen when she started dabbling in all of this Eastern mythology and New Agey stuff. Hindsight, once again. Nonetheless, I've got my apartment, and my daughter is still in remission for leukemia. The reason I say that is because you'll see what happens later. But she's in remission for leukemia. She's always been in my care doing well. But once she starts to get in her mother's care, things change. 2021, from July to December, worked really, really hard on reconciling. This individual had no desire to reconcile. I see that now, and I saw that in December. I would be there with my kiddos, and eventually she would come over and spend the night in my apartment. Like, hey, I'll be on the couch, you're in the bedroom with the kiddos. And there's this really weird, and I have to say sick, I can't sugarcoat, sick mindset of trying to be with me and still trying to go do whatever the heck you want to do. Like, that's not how you met me. That's not how I am. That's not my lifestyle. That's not okay. So once I caught her stealing kids' clothes out of my drawer, I have a chest or a dresser, and she thought I was in the kitchen. My kiddos were in the kitchen doing something. I just look in the bedroom, and here she is grabbing kids' clothes and putting it in her bag. Like, so you're not trying to reconcile at all. And I did what most people who present that way hate. I set a boundary. I said, hey, you can't come in anymore. I'll bring the kids out to you, but I caught you stealing kids' clothes. What was the response? Oh, well, they were given by my mother's friend. What are you talking about? I had 7 pair of everything for the kids. 7 shirts, 7 pants, 7 underwear. Everything was together. And that moronic, possessive mindset of my mom's friend gave up like most of the things that my children had, especially my son, were given by my friends. But you become married, they're our friends. But it was my group of people that took care of it. So the kids' bed, the changing table, the clothes, like everything. I'm not over here trying to take that back because it's supposed to be for the kids. So once I set that boundary, I'm already starting to notice patterns. And I go, she's probably going to try to make an excuse to come inside at some point. And then sure enough, she did. Oh, I really have to pee. Let me in. And you have to understand here, I'm starting to become a little bit more aware of the spiritual side of things. Like a lot of us Christians, we like to believe that everything is hunky-dory. And if any type of attack comes against us, we've got this magical force field that just says Jesus and pushes it back. But if you're not wise, you will perish. My people perish for a lack of knowledge. So I'm starting to notice things like, why does this person really want to get in my home? And why do they like to leave items behind that are related to them? Like, this is weird. Hey, I really got to pee. I was like, oh, well, the leasing office has a bathroom that's open until 10 p.m. This is way before 10 p.m. It's like 5 p.m. I'll have the kids waiting here and you can go use the restroom. I need to pee. You should let me in. And I'm like, no. After what you did, you're going to have to use the leasing office. It's very clean. It's open now. You can go and come back. And I look through my window. I'm in the upstairs apartment. And I'm looking. I'm like, this person doesn't look like they need to pee at all. As a matter of fact, she's just sitting there for 20 minutes. It was either 10 or 20 minutes. And then eventually I'm like, hey, and I'm putting it in Talking Parents. It's either Talking Parents or one of these apps. It's like, you can go pee. I'm going to watch the kids until you get back. Go, like, you can go. And then sure enough, she never did go to pee. I brought the kids downstairs and she looked like she was fuming. I can see once again from the upstairs window. My kids go down. My daughter is just distraught in the sense of her face drops and she gets so, I don't have the word for it. It's like oh no, I'm doing this again, sad, and like preparing herself for what's about to happen. She goes, I don't want to go back with mom. I don't want to go back with mom. Like for years, I don't want to go back with mom. And it's nothing to be, it's not about favoritism. It's about healthy. Children know who's healthy and what's healthy for them to a certain degree when it comes to environments. It's like, I don't want to go back. I want to stay here. She would even say that to her mother. I want to stay here. But when the kids go downstairs and get in the vehicle, the next time that they get back with me, I was like, hey, I forgot how it happened, but something came out to where there was like, mom didn't even go pee. Like, did she go to the bathroom? Or like, nope, she didn't. She just drove straight back to her parents' place. Like, okay, so something about that was a little bit off. It's like, you didn't have to pee. You just wanted to get inside my residence. And you also have to think logically and strategically. As a male, you let a lady inside of your home, she can say whatever the heck she wants to say, whether it's true or not. You're going to have a problem with the law enforcement if she calls and says you did this, that, or the other. Doesn't have to have any evidence with it. So it's 2021, December. I finally set a boundary, said you can't come back into my residence. You could do exchanges here, but you're not allowed. Then a couple months later, in January, February, March, actually April, I believe it was, like March, April, around that time, she files for dissolution of marriage, which is also known as divorce. So you got this appearance of people trying to work together, but one really isn't. And once you set the boundary, it's like, oh, you're going to do that? Well, now I'm done with you. Now I'm going to make you pay for exposing me and not allowing me to do what I wanted to do. And I can make all the excuses in the world for this individual because of the life that they had. But at the end of the day, they're an adult. This is about finding joy in the morning. This stuff sucked, but I still had peace. And I hope you understand that, like, there's a portion in Proverbs that talks about having a peaceful house, like, and just having a little portion of it instead of a house filled with contention, you know? Even though I didn't have a lot financially, I didn't have all the things that made me comfortable the past several years of my life, I finally had peace in my home. And that is another part of the joy that I found in the morning. Next, we're going to pick back up in 2022, where I just ended off. We're actually back in the hospital again for a little bit of treatment for my daughter, and I'll go from there.